Welcome back to another Halloween horror film recommendation guide. Today is going to be on Prime Video, so I will highlight some of my favourites on this streaming service to watch in October. If you don't have Prime, then I've also done this for loads of other streaming services, including free streaming services, so just check out the other videos in this playlist. My first recommendation is a little bit of an obvious one, but I had to include it, and that is Halloween from 2018. This is the first film in the recent Halloween trilogy. It works as a sequel from the first ever Halloween film that came out in 1978. So in this film, it is now 4 decades later from the night that Michael Myers came after Laurie Strode. But now these events are about to repeat themselves, but this time Laurie is a lot more prepared and a lot less afraid of the boogeyman. I honestly really do love this trilogy. It's a horror reboot done really well in my opinion. Laurie is still such an amazing and iconic character. I don't always love when horror reboots bring back legacy characters, but I do in this instance. Although I do think poor Laurie does need a break. Michael's mask looks more terrifying than it ever did. The older, reworked mask is done so well to look still very much like the original, but just to give it a bit more grit. I do really like how you don't have to watch the whole franchise to be up to speed with things. You just have to watch the first film. I feel like this makes it a lot more accessible and watchable for a younger audience who may have not seen the previous films, or they may not be able to find anywhere to watch them because I don't think they're all on streaming. They just also may not enjoy the older films as much as those who have watched them growing up or when they first came out. In this film, we get some gore, a lot of really tense moments. I think the fact that Myers is so quiet, it just makes it so much more scary because you never know where he's going to pop out from. This whole franchise is best watched in October, obviously. My next recommendation is actually a recent watch for me, and that is Hellfest. A group of friends head to a haunt event hosted at a horror theme park on Halloween night. There are lots of scare actors around, all dressed in scary costumes, but one of these actors starts killing off innocent attendees. Like I said, this was a recent watch, and it was actually a really pleasant surprise. It's definitely cheesy at times, but still a really fun watch, especially around Halloween, with the spooky imagery of the haunt event and of course it being set on Halloween night. The fun, vibrant lighting really added to the atmosphere. Some of the dialogue between the teens is a little bit cringy, but they are teens, and this isn't really a serious film. All of the characters are really likable, so they're easy to watch, which just helps make the story so much easier and exciting to follow. I was really shocked to see Tony Todd, who I absolutely love. He is a horror legend. This is a great popcorn slasher, perfect to watch with friends. Next on this list is The Evil Dead. Ash and his friends go to stay at a cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway. Whilst they are there, they discover a book that unleashes an ancient evil. The Evil Dead films have never been afraid to just get into things, to just throw you straight into the action. It's not shy on the gore. There is so much bloodshed and a lot of disturbing imagery, like a crazy over-the-top amount. It is just bonkers in the best way possible. I think it's funny to think that this is the least crazy out of the original trilogy, seeing as it is very out there itself. We of course see in this the original and iconic Sam Raimi camera fast panning through the woods, which feels like an evil spirit running or flying towards the cabin. The Evil Dead franchise is perfect to watch on a cozy movie night. The setting of a cabin in the woods is super creepy anyway, and with all of the other terrifying things going on and happening to our characters, it is just perfect. Next is a favourite of mine growing up, and that is Repo, the Genetic Opera. In this futuristic dystopian world, organ failure is taking lives, so a big corporation offers organ transplants with a payment plan, but those who miss payments or can no longer pay have their organs repossessed by the Repo Man. Another big part of this film centres around a drug called Zydrate. People get this on the black market as a painkiller before surgery, but of course people start abusing this and become addicted. The whole set of this dystopian world and the costume design and practical effects is just all so iconic. There is a real uniqueness that feels so original to this film. It's fun and exciting, very campy and visually stunning. stunning. All of the characters have a really unique look as well. For example, Blind Mag, she has these super long eyelashes with white eyes and a black and red aesthetic. So this is also a musical. I'm not always a massive fan of musicals, but I really do like this film. I watched it first as a young teen, so it may be just because I grew up with it. This is a perfect double bill with The Substance because they both have commentary on the beauty industry and they both also have a strange substance. Because of the repossession of the organs, this is a body horror where the repo men will just go to whoever owes them money and just rip their organs out. If you're looking to get lost in a dystopian world with spooky gothic imagery, then this is the perfect choice for you. The next film is another really fun one, and that is Beetlejuice. A married couple tragically die near their home, now to be haunting this home and still there when a new family moves in. They want this new family to leave their home that they had first, so they try to spook them away. They seek help from Beetlejuice, but he ends up being much more of a hindrance than a help. I'm sure most people have seen Beetlejuice, but I just had to include it in this list because it's perfect to watch this time of the year with the spooky imagery, dark humour, and the whole film just being centred around death. I love the design of this whole film, especially of the afterlife and all of the people and beings there. I think the sandworm is the coolest thing ever. This is of course done by Tim Burton, who created this genius world. He is known for his weird and creepy films. It's such a cozy watch. We don't really get any gore, it's more like cartoonish scares. Next on this list is another wacky one, and that is Frankenhooker. A young man has to deal with the sudden loss of his fiancée when she tragically dies following a lawnmower accident. He isn't coping too well without her, so he decides to try to bring her back to life. He still has her head, which was the only salvageable part of her after the accident, so he decides to use that as a base and lure women in before collecting their body parts to reconstruct his fiancée. If you can't already tell from the title and the description, this is a horror comedy that is loosely based on Frankenstein. Frankenhooker is very unserious and very over the top. We do get some gore, but it's never too intense alongside all of the goofiness. This is an example of a film that did a lot better later on and became a lot more popular 15 to 20 years later. If you're looking for a silly take on a monster classic this Halloween, then definitely give Frankenhooker a go. I didn't mean for so many horror comedies to be on this list, but it just so happened that way, and the next film is The Monkey. Twin brothers Hal and Bill find their father's old wind-up monkey toy in the loft. They soon realise that this toy monkey is linked to the unfortunate and tragic deaths of a lot of people around them. They decide to get rid of it once and for all to avoid anyone else getting hurt. Years later, the boys are now adults and the monkey has returned to claim more victims. This is directed by Osgood Perkins, who before he did this did Longlegs, which is a very different film, much more serious in tone and I would say more put together. But this is of course a whole different story. It is much more of a light-hearted horror comedy rather than being a super serious horror film. I really love the design of the toy monkey. This is of course based on a short story by Stephen King. I had a lot of fun with this film and was thoroughly entertained, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its flaws, and it definitely does. I did feel like towards the end the story felt a bit rushed and fell a little bit flat. My main criticism is the obvious CGI. It looked really cartoonish at times and just took me out of the film. The kills are very Final Destination-esque, with it being kind of long dragged out scenes of different things happening resulting in the character dying. The Monkey is a very entertaining, fast-paced story. It's very easy to follow and has lots of gory deaths, perfect to watch with friends this spooky season. My next recommendation is The Strangers Pray at Night. A family go on vacation to a remote rental home for a weekend getaway. This relaxing getaway soon turns into a fight for survival when they are targeted by 3 masked strangers. This is a lot more action-packed than the first film. I do still prefer the original, but this is a fun and solid sequel. It's not like a direct sequel. You don't really need to know what happens in the first film to necessarily enjoy this one. They are just both quite straightforward slasher films, as the villains don't even have a motive, which just makes it even more scary. It's very tense and creepy, but very aware of itself. Unlike the first film, this one doesn't feel too serious. I love the masks and just the villains as a whole, especially the sackhead guy. He is just terrifying. The Strangers Prey at Night is perfect if you're looking for a fast-paced slasher with some really creepy villains. My last recommendation is a haunting tale, and that is The Woman in Black. In this supernatural gothic horror film, we follow a man who has been sent to investigate the house of a recently deceased woman. When he gets there, he notices some paranormal activity and realizes the woman's spirit may still be in the house, causing devastation in the community. This has all the vibes for a spooky, haunted movie night. It's definitely not shy on the jump scares. I did actually just include this in another video, my non-gory horror recommendations, because this film is very low on the gore. The horror just really comes in with the supernatural haunting elements. So that's it for my top picks for Halloween horror films on Prime Video. There are, of course, so many more horror films on there, so definitely check them out for yourself. If you think that maybe I've missed an obvious one, then it may be because I've included it in one of my other recommendation videos for October, because I'm really trying to not repeat myself. I hope everyone's having a really good spooky season so far. Don't forget, for extra content, you can always check out my Patreon. I upload bonus videos over there. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another one soon.